Alrighty, I'm back. So after a quick weekend getaway down to San Diego and watch San Diego FC play their first ever home game, I'm back at home and just in time to do the review of the first 8 games from match week number 2. Obviously, we'll talk about the game I went to yesterday tomorrow because that is the later kickoff game. Pretty much all 8 of these games are the early kickoff on Saturday, and then a couple of game that happen in the evening, mostly Eastern Conference game, except there's one matchup that I squeeze in terms of the part one of this review that is also going to be a Western Conference matchup. But before I start this review, I just want to show you some of the things that I got, and this is actually something I didn't get from the store. They actually handed this out. So this is the San Diego FC inaugural scarf that they hand out to the first 30,000 fans. Now, I wish I can kind of show you the whole thing. So I'll basically just kind of go from left to right, or in the case of the camera, right to left. And then, of course, the back of it is pretty much this. And again, it's kind of hard to show you kind of the whole scarf that is. And overall, it's a very simple scarf, and I'm not going to expect something very fancy when it comes to a free gifts. Although one thing I was really hoping is that they at least kind of should have done a scarf where they kind of recognize that this is actually the inaugural match. I mean, they have the inaugural season kind of mark here, but I feel like for a game like this, and especially when they said in the program that they were going to give out the first 30,000 fans the inaugural home match scarf, I would expect that it has something that actually mentioned in the scarf, but instead that of course was not the case. And in fact, there was, I feel like this scarf, especially the back of it, there's more mentioning of Direct TV on this scarf than San Diego FC itself. But I guess that's kind of understandable considering Direct TV is their shirt sponsor. Now, one thing I did bought from the team store, I didn't buy a shirt or a jersey from the team store, but I did bought this inaugural home match for San Diego FC pennant, and I bought this mainly because again, this is what I was hoping to be on the scarf, and there's no doubt that I'm gonna try to hang this in the wall because I did look on the MLS website to see whether or not they actually have this pennant on sale, and apparently they didn't. So I just thought, well, you know what, I might as well just buy it at the store because again, it's good that I of course hang this on my wall, knowing that I was part of history along with the 35,000 so in the stadium of watching the first ever home game for San Diego FC. But with that being said, let us actually get into the review of the first 8 games, and again, we'll talk about more of that game tomorrow. That is, but the first game we're going to talk about is Charlotte versus Atlanta United, as the first 2 games are the matinee game. And for those who wonder, did I watch any of these action on the weekend? Well, kind of barely. Though I will say, the matinee game, I was actually able to watch this in full, and I watched the second half of the RSL versus Seattle game, and then of course I also watched the full game of the Minnesota versus Montreal game, and then of course the San Diego versus St. Louis game, as that was the game I attended. But yeah, in this game between Charlotte versus Atlanta, something tells me both of these teams probably might be in the playoffs because this game kind of had that playoff kind of feeling, especially in the first half, and that's kind of interesting to say considering we're only 2 games into the season. But you just kind of had a sense that not only this is going to be a great rivalry game between these two southeastern teams, but this could be a matchup we could see in the playoffs. Now, in the first half, it was a very cagey start to this game. Again, kind of fits that playoff kind of big game narrative where things get a little bit cagey. Both of these teams seems like they were showing respect by not really want to have the ball and let the other team go at them. In fact, there was no shot for the first 17 minutes of this game. On the 18th minute, the first shot of the game, see Kalina deny Almiron in the near post. Before there was a shout for a handball for Charlotte was not given. The shots were only 2 apiece 30 minutes in. Again, it was a very tightly affair. Both of these teams didn't really want to open up early in the first half. Latte Laugh would then puts it wide from long range. It was a very quiet day for Emmanuel Latte Laugh, and part of that is because this Charlotte defense, we know they are the best in the East last season, and they definitely show that in this case because they pretty much silent this this attack for the most part. So that being said, in the 43rd minute, Kalina did deny Almiron from close range, and I thought Atlanta started to put some sustained pressure late in the first half, trying to look for the lead. But we do have to have time scoreless between both of these team, and those missed chances that Atlanta had late in the first half would come back to bite them because in the second half. Probably get their first goal of the game. It's Pepiel, the one that gets the opening goal of the game, and it didn't take long for them to score the second goal. As in the 54th minute, Wilfred Zaha, of course, making his debut in this game. He was largely quiet in the first half. He was definitely not quiet in the second because he scored his first career MLS goal in the 54th minute, and he did it in style too. I mean, hitting that one off the volley after I think BL hit the post on the previous attempt. But yeah, what a goal that is from Wilfred for Zaha, and he's definitely going to be a problem for a lot of Eastern Conference team. He is a guy that has a lot of talent. I mean, I know he's not anywhere. He's not going to be as good as what he did doing his prime of his career with Crystal Palace, but he's going to be a guy that I think will really help this Charlotte attack that desperately need help going forward this season if they are going to really be a team that could be a really big threat in the East. I mean, not saying that they won't be, but I feel like the missing puzzle for this team is that they need to have a difference maker on the attack, and Zaha might be the guy to do so. Atlanta continued to dominate possession, but there was no way through against a rigid Charlotte defense. Yeah, good luck trying to come back from 2-0 down against Charlotte. Most times or not, when you're 2-0 down against Charlotte, it's pretty much over. Marinchek then puts it high from long range before Almiron hits it right to Kalina. Atlanta finally started creating some chances, but again, not much really kind of trouble Charlotte or even Kalina here. Ajiman tried to finish it with a third, but he puts it over before Vargas would hit one right to Guzan. And then he hits one right to Guzan again just a minute later as Charlotte was pressing for that third goal, trying to add the icing on the cake in front of 50,000 plus at Bank of America Stadium in this game. Kalina then denied TRA to preserve the clean sheet in the 89th minute, but in the end, Charlotte with a very impressive 2-0 win against Atlanta United. They shut down this really good Atlanta attack, which is something that I mean, if there's any team that I think could really shut down this high power Atlanta attack, it's got to be the Charlotte team. I mean, Dean Smith, I think early this season has kind of shown that yeah, this defense is going to be once again good, just like what we saw last season. Shots in this one, 10 shots for the 16 that Atlanta has, 4 shots on goal for the 5 that Charlotte has, 3 shots off target for the 4 that Atlanta had, 7 shots on his block for the 2 that Charlotte has, and possession-wise, 55% possession compared to the 45% possession that Charlotte has in this game. And for Atlanta, I think there's one thing that I think Atlanta fans might be very concerned early in this season is that the defense have not stepped up. And this is kind of the thing that I was maybe a little worried heading into this season as well, where, well, yes, they spent a lot on improving the attack. What about the defense? Because their defense last season at times was not good whatsoever. And it's been shown that, if you're going to be going toe to toe with the best team in the league, you need to still have a decent defense because as the old saying goes, defense wins championship, and that if Atlanta doesn't sort that out the defense as the season goes along, it really doesn't matter how good the attack is. They're gonna have to have kind of games like they did last week, where for most of the wins, it's probably gonna be high scoring, which might be fun for the neutral to do, but definitely not fun if you're an Atlanta United fan and want to see this team dominate like they used to during the old days when Atlanta was considered to be a top dog in the East every single year. Now, moving on in the next match is RSL versus the Seattle Sounders, and boy, did Real Salt Lake needed this. I mean, it's been a disastrous start to the season for this RSL team, both in league play and also in the CONCACAF Champions Cup. And also, it's kind of fitting that they desperately need a win against a team that, again, for whatever reason, the Sounders they cannot beat Real Salt Lake at on the row or at the Riot. They mentioned that ever since the Sounders came into the league, they have only beaten RSL once at the Riot. That just shows you how good RSL is, not only at home but also they pretty much own the Sounders when this game is played at the Riot. But in the first half, Katranis puts it over from long range as that was the game first shot. Manungu looked like he put the ball into the back net, but the flag did not agree with him there, so the goal was disallowed for for offside. And then just 2 minutes later on the other end, the ball did end up in the back of the net. And unfortunately, yeah, for Nuhu, I mean, I get that, it is a rare sight to see Nuhu put the ball into the back net. I mean, it only happened been once. I didn't expect he was going to go full Yamar here, where he would not only score a goal for the Sounders, but he could also score a goal on the other end in his career. And yeah, that's exactly what happened here, where now Nuhu not only has scored 2 goals in his career for the Seattle Sounders, but it's kind of fitting that it happened for the Sounders in one game, and then it happened on the other and as well. So, all kidding aside, this was just kind of a miscommunication. I don't think Nuhu realized that Fry was going to get to it, and yeah, just a miscommunication there. But RSL wouldn't care. I mean, they desperately need breaks to go their way after a poor start to the season, and just like that, they're up 1-0. Marchuk trying to make it 2-0, but he hits one right to Fry, and then Puyol would miss an absolute sitter from close range there, as RSL was definitely pressing for the second goal, but you just kind of had a sense that, these missed chances that they had, it started to kind of be a little bit of a reminiscent of what happened on Wednesday against Herediano. And again, the longer that this game stayed at 1-0, the more, if you're an RSL fan, you're probably very concerned because, oh boy, is this going to be a Herodino kind of type of game again. In the 27th minute, Munungu would hits the side netting as the Sounders would start to get into this game and look for the equalizer. Cabral then denied Vargas, but it actually Recycle and Morris had a chance on the same sequence, but he puts it over from long range. And then Fry would deny Jermaine Brown from the corner in the fourth minute stoppage time. But we do head to halftime with RSL leading 1-0. Now in the second half, the Sounders seems like they're starting to bring in the cavalry. Again, this was not the strongest Sounders team, knowing that they are prepping for the CONCACAF Champions Cup in the middle of the week, and not to mention, as what we seen in terms of teams that involve in the CONCACAF Champions Cup, unless you're not named Inter Miami, yeah, it was a real struggle for teams that participate in the competition and get back into league play. And that's kind of expected with the way that we've always seen this before, where teams participate in the CONCACAF Champions Cup, especially in the early day, that is, they would definitely struggle more when it comes to league play. And once again, it just kind of shows you that it is hard to balance both competition, especially early in the season. But yeah, the Sounders started bringing the cavalry as De La Vega and Ariola was summoned into this game. Quinton would then puts it over from the near post in the 48th minute before Rusnak would hit a volley right to Cabral. They basically boo Albert Rusnak every single touch and boo him mercilessly whenever he take a corner. Makes sense because yeah, RSL fans have definitely not forgotten what Rusnak did to them a couple of years ago. But there's no doubt that Sounders was trying to push to try to get the equalizer. Petronis would then puts it wide from long range, and then Rusnak looked like he put the ball into the back net. The problem was, once again, the goal was disallowed for offside. This time it was on the development of play. Gonzalez then heads it right to Fry in the 63rd minute. Both of these teams were getting some good chances, but who can get that next crucial goal? Obviously, RSL fans hope that they will be the one, because this is right around the time when they gave up that lead against Herediano. Gonzalez then hits it right to Fry before Rusnak would put a one hopper right to Cabral. And again, this game is still up for grabs. Both of these teams were still pressing for either the equalizer or the second goal. And as I remind RSL fans, yeah, you just hope that they would be the one that gets the next goal, and not have a repeat of what we saw on Wednesday of not putting the game away when they're leading 1-0. Now the good news is they probably heard me said that, because just 1 minute after I wrote that, Ayago would score from Gonzalez to make it 2-0 in favor of RSL, and that has to be a huge relief inside American First for at the ride, because I'm pretty sure RSL fans, they were really concerned that were gonna blow another lead because of lack of finishing. Kobe Henry trying to make it 3-0, but unfortunately he blasted that one into the Wasatch Mountain. But in the end, RSL gets a much needed 2-0 win against the Sounders. The shots in this one, 14 shots compared to, or actually no, I'm sorry, 10 shots compared to 12 that the Sounders had. 3 shots on goal compared to 5 that RSL had. 4 shots off target compared to 3 that the Sounders had. 3 shots that was blocked compared to 1 that RSL has. And possession-wise, 52% possession compared to the 48% possession that the Sounders has in this game. And like I said, this was a much needed win. I mean, after the after that happened on Wednesday, exiting in this CONCACAF Champions Cup tournament in an embarrassing way, you knew that Pablo Mascherani man need to find a big response, and they definitely got a big response here against the Sounders. And for the Sounders, as I would say, pretty much for a lot of teams participating in the CONCACAF Champions Cup, this is gonna happen, and this is just kind of part it is. And I won't be surprised heading into next week they might even think about punting the game away because again, those two-legged affair against Cruz Azul is going to be even more important than the early season fixture that they have in the beginning of this season. With that being said, moving on in terms of the next match is Columbus versus New England. So there was a bit of a controversial moment happened late in this game that really made New England fans very upset, and we'll definitely get to that. But really, for the first 10 minutes, yeah, it was a bit of a snooze fest. And in fact, pretty much all the 7:30 start were kind of a bit of a snooze fest in the beginning, where not really a lot of chance this happened. In fact, the first shot of the game didn't came until the 13th minute when Campana shot was actually clear off the line, following a corner. And really, 20 minutes in, that was really the only shots of the game. And it didn't take until the 23rd minute where we saw the second shot of the game as Schulte would deny Campana as he was in on goal. We go for another long period of time where not much really happened, but we do head to halftime. Unsurprisingly, scoreless between both of these teams. But in the second half, it didn't stay scoreless for long because in the 51st minute, Jason Russell Rome, he scored from Farsi to make it 1-0 in favor of the Columbus Crew. Something tells me Russell Rome is going to have a breakout year because, the mantle is now being carried for him, knowing that after Tucho and Christian Ramirez left this team, he's now going to have to be the nine to step up, and he's definitely stepped up well in this early part of the season for Will Fernandes. He already scored 2 goals so far, but yeah, that gives the Crew a 1-0 lead. Armstrong looked to double that lead, but the Post says no in the 64th minute. And then Sean Post would hits one right to Ivicic, and Ivicic actually spilled this one, and I think Russell Rowe was ready to pounce on it there, but fortunate for Ivicic, he was able to gobble that up before Russell Rowe was able to do so. But there was no doubt that Columbus was pushing for the second goal, and yeah, the Revs clearly did not show up in the second half whatsoever. Farsi then hits it right to Ivicic in the 76th minute, and then this is where the controversy began. So there was a huge shout for a penalty for New England, and then it was given. The referee, he had a long think about it, but then he points to the spot. Even the commentator were kind of confused of what was going on at first, but the penalty was given. But then they go to VAR to see whether or not Shambles actually did handball this one, and then VAR says no, he did not handball it. And what's so controversial about this is that it definitely looked like Shambles handballed it. And if anything, I mean, I don't think there was a definitive angle to say that it is overturned. And as we'll also talk about tomorrow in part two of my review, we saw another game that had a very similar controversial moment this happened. So yeah, again, I can understand why Rams fans are very upset about that, and that if that penalty was given, there could have been a chance where they could have tied the game up. Instead, we're still down 1-0. They press hard late to try to get the equalizer. Urruti with it then hits one right to Schulte, but despite the fact that the Revs had 13 minutes of stoppage time to try to tie it, they weren't able to do so as Columbus hold on to win 1-0 in this one. And the shots in this one, not a lot of shots whatsoever. Only 9 shots compared to just 5 that New England has. 2 shots on goal compared to 3 that Columbus had. 1 shots off target compared to none that New England has. 3 shots as blocked compared to 4 that Columbus had. And possession-wise, 59% possession compared to 41% possession that the Revs has in this game. And again, I know Revs fans will say that they got robbed of at least a point out of this game. But let's be honest. I mean, they didn't really play very well in this game. Like, that was really kind of the only moment that they even remotely came close in terms of scoring a goal. And this has got to be a concern if you're a Rams fan, especially this season is supposed to be a turnaround season. For this team after all the changes that they made. I mean, this might be partially the fact that because they made so many changes, they may get off to a slow start, as I also mentioned earlier before that, this team feels like it's kind of an expansion team as well with all the changes that is being made. But so far, yeah, it hasn't really quite worked out so well. And if things doesn't go well for this team, yeah, Caleb Porter might be the first coach to be fired this season. I mean, I think the odds in terms of who's going to get fired first, Caleb Porter is probably right at the top of the list right now, and if Resort doesn't turn for them, yeah, that seems like it's going to happen. But now moving on into the last game on this board is the Red Bulls versus Nashville SC. So yeah, the Red Bulls they score early in this one, and then they kind of just cruise their way to an easy free points, and it kind of helps the fact that they score on their first shot of the game as 7 minutes into this game. Really, the first uh real chance by both of these teams. It's in the back of net for the Red Bulls as Mohamed Sodom making his debut in this game, scores his first career MLS goal. He won't be the last player to make a debut and score his first career MLS goal. It seems like it's been happening a lot this early part of the season. But yeah, he scored here, and this one actually originally looked like Choupo-Moting was going to score here. It actually struck. He actually struck the post there, but fortunately for the Red Bulls and for Soto himself, it falls right into the path of him. He puts it into the net to score probably the easiest goal he will score in his career. And yeah, just like that, it was 1-0 in favor of the Red Bulls. And really, that would be the only shot throughout the first 25 minutes. Again, it was a common feat in terms of the 7:30 start. There was really not much that happened in the first bit of the first half. In the 27th minute, Choupo-Moting would puts it over from long range, and then in the 30th minute, Emil Forsberg would score from Valencia to make it 2-0 in favor of the Red Bulls. That was vintage Emil Forsberg here. We know how much of a difference maker he can be for the Red Bulls, and he can score some spectacular goal, and that is definitely one that's definitely going to be in contention for goal of the week. Although there definitely is a lot of goal of the week contention because there was a lot of great goals that also score this week as well. Mukhtar did look to answer, but he missed wide as that was really Nashville's first shot off the game, and it came in the 34th minute. Zimmerman would then head to right to Cornell in the 5th minute stoppage time, but we do head to halftime with the Red Bulls leading 2-0. In the second half, just like the first half, really not much happened in the majority of the second half, which that kind of favors the Red Bulls. The Red Bulls seems like they're just gonna put this into cruise control and trying to hold on to this 2-0 lead. But then in the 64th minute, Sam Surridge put the ball into the back net, and it looks like it was 2-1 in favor of the Red Bulls. Fortunately for the Red Bulls, the flag bailed them out. The goal was disallowed for offside. Mule would then hit it high from close in the 71st minute. Imagine Alex Mule score a goal here. Right? I'm assuming he's probably not going to celebrate, especially. I know he doesn't play for the Red Bulls anymore, but deep down he knows he's still like the team because that's where he started in his career. But there was no doubt Nashville was trying to get one back, but they weren't really creating a lot of chances, and even with the chances that they were creating, it wasn't really that difficult for the Red Bulls to deal with. Hack would then puts it wide on the header before Willis denied Hall on the doorstep of goal as the Red Bulls now look like they were trying to make it 3-0. Cornell then denies Surridge from close before Bunbury when heads it wide from the set piece, and that was the last chance of the game. As in the end, the Red Bulls with a comfortable 2-0 win in their season home opener. Shots in this one, 11 shots for the 12 that Nashville has, 2 shots on goal for the 5 that the Red Bulls had, 2 shots off target for the 3 that Nashville has, 2 shots that was blocked compared to none that Nashville has, and possession-wise, 55% possession for the 45% possession the Red Bulls has in this game. So yeah, again, the Red Bulls good bounce back win after that loss that they had against Cincinnati. But for Nashville, yeah, they're still searching for their first goal of the season. I mean, I think they play pretty well at least in these first two games in an attacking standpoint. Definitely much better compared to what we saw majority part of last season. But it's still a work in progress for this BJ Callahan and team as the season goes along. That being said, I am now going to switch forward and look at the last 4 games to finish up part 1 of this review of match week number 2. So moving on, in the next game is Orlando versus Toronto FC, and it feels like Orlando draw the Uno reverse card in this game because last week they lost 4-2 to the Philadelphia Union, and this week they won 4-2 against Toronto FC. Now, in the first 15 minutes, yeah, let's not talk about it because nothing really happened. The first shot of the game, see Freeman heads it wide in the 15th minute before Corbino puts it wide in the 24th minute. The shots were only one apiece 30 minutes into this game. Again, this was a very common theme with all these 7:30 starts. But in the 33rd minute, on only the second shot for Orlando City, it goes in. And it says Araujo that scores the opening goal for Orlando City. It was a great free kick there. I didn't know Cesar Araujo can hit a free kick like like that, but he hits a free kick so perfectly that it basically hits off the post and in. Yeah, no goalkeeper is gonna save that. And then just 2 minutes later, Orlando would double their lead. It's Alex Freeman, his first career MLS goal in his first start as well from Kyle Smith to make it 2-0 in favor of Orlando City. By the way, that's only the third shot for Orlando City. And the reason why I want to mention shots for Orlando City, they were very clinical in this game. In the 37th minute, Benedeski looked to answer, but he missed way high and wide before the post, denied Atuesta from close in the 6 minute of stoppage time, and we do head to halftime with Orlando leading 2-0. In the second half of what only is the fifth shot for Orlando City, it's in the back of the net again as Ojeda would score from Araujo to make it 3-0 in favor of Orlando City. So a great night there from Cesar Araujo, not only scoring a wonderful free kick, but also on the assist chart as well. But yeah, that was not existing defending from TFC. Something tells me TFC is trying to are gunning for the Quakes record in terms of the most goal concede this season, because in the first two game they've already conceded 6 goals in this season. But in the 72nd minute, they do get one back as Rosted would score his first career MLS goal from Benedeski to make it 3-1 in favor of Orlando City. And talk about bad defending. Yeah, there was some non-existing defending there from Orlando City on the set piece. Just do not guard that back post whatsoever. Let Rosted basically hits it in, and just like that, it was 3-1 in favor of Orlando. Benedeski did look for another, but he was denied by Galese. And all of a sudden, the momentum was with TFC, because in a game where it looked like this was all but done. Now Toronto was trying to make this interesting. However, in the 81st minute, Orlando make sure they put this game out of bag as Dagger Dan for Holson would score from Muriel and Enrique to make it 4-1 in favor of Orlando. Again, that was only the sixth shot that Orlando has, and once again, just non-existing defending there whatsoever from TFC at that point. Enrique looked for a fifth, but he missed just wide in the 84th minute. But then in the 86th minute, Toronto gets another one back as Dimer Flores would score to make it 4-2 in favor of Orlando City, and that was just an absolute laser shot. I mean, he couldn't hit that one harder if you can try from a low line there. There's no chance whatsoever from Galese to try to save that. Speaking of Galese, he then denied Benedeski from long range in the ninth minute of stoppage time, but in the end, Orlando again kind of did a Uno reverse car here, winning 4-2 this time, and on the right end of a 4-2 scoreline here by beating TFC in this one. Shots in this one, exactly at 9 shots, exactly at 4 shots on goal. 1 shot off target for the 2 that TFC had. 3 shots that was blocked for the 2 that Orlando City has. And possession wise, 55% possession compared to 45% possession that Orlando City has in this game. And again, for Orlando, it's a great bounce back win. Although it's not hard to have a bounce back win when you're facing against a team that, as I said early in the season, I mean, I don't want to disrespect TFC so early in the season, but it feels like they're going to be like kind of the Santa Claus of the Eastern Conference this season. They're going to be the team that is probably going to be used as a punching bag. And if you're a team that desperately need a win, you better hope you get to play Toronto FC next, because something tells me they're going to hand a lot of points and also shipped a lot of goals this season, as we're already seeing from them in the early part of this season. But that being said, moving on into the next game is Philly and FC Cincinnati. And I gotta say, for the Philadelphia Union, I know it's still early in the season, but this so-called rebuild or retool that they're going through, I definitely did not expect the fact that this rebuild has gone well, and that Bradley Cornell once again is kind of proving a lot of doubters wrong. The fact that he can still definitely coach in this league, because in the 6th minute of this game, the Union wastes no time to score the opening goal. And also, for people that were wondering after Ty Peribo, after an incredible second half of the season he has, the question is, can he keep it up heading into the second season? Yeah, the answer is an emphatic yes, because he scored here in the 6th minute from Wagner and Sullivan to make it 1-0 in favor of the Union. That's also the first shot of the game as well. And that also will be the only shot for the next 27 minutes, as again, not much really happened in a 7:30 kickoff. Sullivan would then puts it over from close in the 29th minute, but then in the 36th minute, Baribo would score again. He scored from Gastek to make it 2-0 in favor of the Union. Originally the goal, or actually, I'm sorry, did I say 36th minute? This actually happened in the 30th minute, that is. And actually, originally the goal was chopped off for offside, but they did go to VAR to see whether or not if the defender for Cincinnati kind of intentionally play that ball, which kind of resets the offside. And indeed, that of course was the case. So no offside here. The Union made it 2-0. And then Barrio looked like he complete his hat trick just 37 minutes in, but this time the flag did came up for offside, and this time it was not close whatsoever. It was pretty clear that Baribo was in an offside position. Uru then hits one right to Sautano in the 45th minute, but we do head to halftime with the Union all over Cincinnati in this game. Again, like what I said about Seattle, Cincinnati, they're playing their fourth game in 11 days. They got a big CONCACAF Champions Cup game against Tigres, so I'm pretty sure they were really focused on this one and kind of wasn't really that interested in terms of walking away with anything out of this game, because in the second half, 52 minutes in, Baribo would complete his hat trick. He scored from Gastak to make it 3-0 in favor of the Union. By the way, that's already his fifth goal of the season. He scored a brace against Orlando City, and safe to say that, yeah, I definitely did not have Ty Baribo on the Golden Boot watch in the beginning of the season, and I probably should have, because I know he did finish the season relatively cold last year, but the fact that in a short amount of period he scored or double-digit goals, and at times one of the hottest goal scorer in the league, you better believe he's definitely Rio, and he is one of the big reasons why the Union are definitely they definitely didn't skip a beat when it come this so-called rebuild and retool that they're heading into this season. And also, I also wrote after that third goal, it seems like Cincy has waved the white flag, because Pat Nolan decided to put it in his backup for Gay, and the starters were getting rested by for that big CONCACAF Champions Cup clash against Tigres. But as I said, that in the 58th minute, Evander would score pretty much out of nothing to make it 3-1 in favor of the Union. And I say it's out of nothing because he didn't really had a good angle. He actually slipped it as he shoots this one, and yet somehow he still was able to generate enough power to beat Blake there. And just like that, Cincinnati maybe had a glimmer of hope, and probably maybe Pat Nolan probably shouldn't have pulled his starter so quickly now that they got one back. Though that being said, Baribo did look for his fourth goal, but was denied by Sautano, and then Sautano denied Lukic's shot, and it was a great save from Sautano too, because that shot took a wicked deflection, and the Union were back pressing to try to get that fourth goal. Gastak tried to do so, but he puts it just wide from long range. I even wrote the Union was hungry to try to restore that 3-goal lead, pressing for the fourth. Blake then denied Powell, but he actually spilled this one, and Denke was right there to try to hit it in the tap in, and you would definitely bet your house that Denke would put that ball into the back of the net with how good he's been in the beginning of his tenure with Cincinnati. But somehow he struck the post there, and then Bear actually had a third chance here on the same sequence, but he missed that one wide, and that moment just kind of sums up Cincinnati. That moment just kind of knew that this was definitely not the night for FC Cincinnati against this Union side. And then in the third minute stoppage time, remember how I said the Union were hungry to get that fourth goal? They did get it in the third minute stoppage time, and it's another debut goal to as Bruno Di Mane on his debut for the Union, scoring from Sullivan to make it 4-1 in favor of the Union, and that would be the final score of this game. This was probably one of the more lopsided Philly versus Cincy game we have seen in recent memory. These two teams, when they face off against each other, it's always competitive. But I guess with the way that probably Cincinnati has a bigger priority and another competition to worry about, maybe that's kind of the reason why this turns out to be a bit of a laughter. But the shots in this one, 14 shots for the 7 that Cincinnati has, 2 shots on goal for the 7 that the Union has, 2 shots off target for the 1 that Cincinnati has, 3 shots that was blocked for the 4 that the Union has, and possession-wise, 50% for both of these teams. And don't look now, but the Union look like they, at least in these first two games, they look like they're back to being a contender in the Eastern Conference. And what's even more impressive is that the two teams that they beat are two teams that were supposed to be contender in the East as well, in Cincinnati and Orlando City. It's been very impressive for what the Union has done, and we'll see whether or not if they can keep it up as the season goes along. Now, moving on into the next game, and the last game we're going to talk about that is an Eastern Conference clash, at least for this review, is Chicago versus DC United. And I gotta say, this was actually a really entertaining game, and we kind of saw a certified DC United moment and certified Chicago Fire moment happen late in this game at the same time as well. Though In the first half, Piani would head it wide from close, and then Benteke would head it right to Brady in the second minute. And in the third minute, Tim would deny Kuipers on the header. Yeah, so much for slow start here. It feels like once the 7:30 kickoff is done, when it gets to like the 8:30 p.m. Eastern time kickoff, that's when the fireworks really begin to happen. Because in the fourth minute, after just a quick start for both of these teams, it's not a big surprise we finally saw a goal as Benteke would score his second goal of the season from Priani and Schleich to make it 1-0 in favor of DC United. Benteke then looked for another, but he was denied by Brady on the doorstep of goal. Dean would then puts it wide from long range. I think the shots were like already like 4-2 in favor of DC early in this one because there was definitely no slow start to this game. Both of these teams was going gun ho from the minute begin. In the 28th minute, Kuiper would struck the post on the header, but then in the 36th minute, he would score from Elliott and Zinkanago to tie the game up at one apiece. Benteke did look to get the lead back, but he missed wide in the 34th minute, and then he struck the post on the header in the 36th minute. So up to this point, both teams struck the post there, and somehow, in some way, this was still only 1-1. This could have been easily two or even 3-all with the amount of chances both of these teams was getting, and there was no doubt that DC has responded well, and they were pressing to try to get the lead back. Elliott would then head it wide from close in the 43rd minute before Bartlett would head it over from close range. And yeah, despite a lot of chances in the first half, it was only a 1-1 game heading into the second half. Now in the second half, much more calmer start to the second half. There wasn't really as much chances to begin the second half. But in the 57th minute, Dean would hit one right to Kim, and in the 70th minute, Chicago would take the lead for the first time as Hugo Kuipers would score for the second time tonight. But where in the world was the marking in the back post for DC? Like there was no marking in the back post there. Kuipers was just left completely wide open. Like you probably should not leave the probably the most dangerous goal scored on this team wide open like that. Shouldn't you think DC? But nope, they didn't get the memo here, and they were rightfully punished, and the Fire took the lead for the first time tonight. Bartlett did look to answer, but he heads it wide before Brady absolutely robbed Baggio on a point blank header. And once again, DC they responded really well, and now that they're looking to try to press back to tie the game up. And really, as the time winds down, the Fire was starting to drop their lines and hope to protect the lead. That usually does not end well for the Chicago Fire, just saying. Brady then denied Benteke from close, and in the 88th minute, we saw a penalty given to DC United as Sam Rogers was deemed to handball in the box. So here comes Benteke. He's been pretty much a guarantee from the spot, and he skies it over the bar. I mean, that is something I did not see coming, and I also immediately wrote that feels like it's a certified DC moment here that they would blow a sure chance to tie the game up. But it feels like Chicago are basically saying, well, you had a certified DC moment or a certified moment in your team. Hold my beer because I'm gonna hand you the equalizer as well late in this game, and really. This equalizer it was an absolute goal also as Jacob Mero would score from Herrera and Patola to tie the game up at two apiece, but that's only it just tells the story of the fact that he pretty much did almost a bite. I mean, they said it's a bicycle kick. It's more of an overhead kick in my opinion, but definitely contention for goal of the week and maybe even goal of the year already early in this season because the technique to hit that it is incredibly difficult. And yeah, just like that, the game was tied up at two apiece. That also was the last kick of the game as well as in the end, very entertaining game between the Fire and DC United. It's kind of interesting that in games like this, I don't think a lot of people were expecting a Chicago versus DC game to be relatively exciting. Though that being said, both of these teams has had their defensive issues, so maybe that kind of is the reason why it's ended up to be an entertaining game. But nevertheless, it ends in a 2-2 draw in this one, and the shots in this one, a lot of shots, 19 shots with 11 that Fire has, 4 shots on goal for the 6 that DC had, 5 shots off target with the 3 that the Fire has, 2 shots that was blocked with the 6 that DC had, and possession-wise, 60% possession compared to 40% possession the Fire has in this game. And also, judging by how this game turns out, I think it's fair to say that a point is a fair result for both of these teams. I mean, I know the Fire would say otherwise because yeah, blowing a lead late in this game. That's another certified Chicago Fire kind of moment. And once again, these are kind of the thing that Greg Berhalter is going to have to take time to try to iron out. But still, just the balance of the play, I thought it was a relatively even game between both of these teams. And then finally, last but certainly not least, in Sporting KC and the San Jose Earthquakes. And I gotta say, I know it's still early in the season, and I know as a pessimistic Quakes fan, really want to refuse to believe that the Quakes are truly back and that there is a hope that things are going to be absolutely amazing for this team. Really, after watching these two games, I have started to see some very unlike Quakes thing that happen, and that's a good thing too because when it comes to watching Quakes game, it's at times is very predictable because you know that they're gonna find some way to lose games. But I gotta say, at least in these first two games, and especially in this game in general, this is a game that the Quakes had no rights of winning. Like previous Quakes team would have lost to Sporting KC, especially with the way that they got a red card late in this game. But something tells me Bruce Arena not only has changed the culture of this team, but he's had it again when it comes to turning a team that is historically cursed to a point that this team could maybe be somehow to be one of the better team in the Western Conference. So that being said, in the first half, just 3 minutes into the game, the Quakes would score the opening goal as Chicho Arango would open his account for the season and his first goal for the Quakes to make it 1-0 in favor of the Quakes. Now, obviously, usually that's a great thing to see when you're a team score the fourth goal, especially early in the game. And this is the San Jose Earthquakes. And if there's one thing that I know about the Quakes, and again, I even wrote it as a reminder, we saw a lot of this last season when the Quakes scored the first goal inside the first 5 minutes. And as the rule goes, they're going to lose the game because that's just how it is. Garcia did look to answer, but he puts it over from close before Bassan would hits it right to Daniel in the 12th minute. Suleimani then puts it wide from close as Sporting was pressing back to try to get the equalizer. But then in the 19th minute, Quakes double their lead. It's Joseph Martinez. He opened his account and his first goal of the season. I wrote the first career MLS goal. That's actually completely false because why do I say that's his first career MLS goal? Consider he just passed Bradley Wright Phillip for the most goal uh, that he has ever scored by an MLS or the most goal an MLS player has scored. But yeah, that is his first career Quakes goal here, and really just kind of against the run of play and one that John Postgame would want to have that one back because he spilled a ball in as the ball crossed into the box. When you're a goalkeeper, you cannot not spill a ball or just not catch a simple ball that is in the air like that because if that happens and especially there's players surrounding you, especially coming in from a corner as well. Yeah, you're gonna get punished more times or not. And yeah, Polscam was punished there. And the Quakes took a 2-0 lead there. In 23rd minute, Soleimani did look to answer, but he heads it wide. But then a penalty was given to Sporting KC as Ian Harks would handball that one into the box, and here comes Joveljic a chance to at least get one back for Sporting KC, and he does exactly that. Though I gotta say, if there is a goalkeeper you do not want to face when it comes to taking a penalty, it's gotta be Daniel because he is a very good penalty kick stopper, and he almost saved this one too. I mean, Joveljic in the end buries it mainly because he put just enough height to it. Because if he didn't, Daniel would have saved that, and this game would have still be at 2-0, and that would be just a classic Sporting KC kind of moment of them continue to have problem from the spot. Daniel then denied libel from close in the 31st minute before Garcia puts it high from long range. The momentum was all with Sporting KC, and again, if this was the old Quakes, you know that they're about to crumble this 2-0 lead. But like I said, this is not the old Quakes anymore. This is a Bruce Arena Quakes team that has just completely they do something that is very Quakes like this season. In the 33rd minute, Hartswood hits one right to Postgame before Postgame absolutely robbed Martinez on what seems like it was a falling scorpion kick because he was kind of falling as he was trying to hit that one back heel there. That's why I call it that. But yeah, all of a sudden I thought the Quakes had the momentum back and they were looking to try to restore their 2-goal lead back. But that being said, in the fifth minute stop sign, they almost had to halftime, giving up an equalizer as the post denied Libo from close there. But we do head to halftime with the Quakes leading 2-1. But then in the second half, we saw a red card here from Hernan Lopez, and yeah, again, Hernan Lopez is gonna learn from this, where when you're on a yellow card, you could not make some silly challenges, or even dive in to make a risky challenge, because if you dive in and make a risky challenge like that and you don't get it right, you're gonna get a second yellow more times or not, and that's exactly what happened. So yeah, that's definitely a huge blow, not only for this game but also for the upcoming game, where I'm pretty interested to see when both of my team that I root for facing off against each other for the first time at PayPal Park next week. But he's not going to be available in that game against Minnesota. And Dembe then missed wide from long range. Sporting, knowing that they have a man up, they were pressing hard to try to get the equalizer. Though I said pressing hard, but for the most part, I thought the Quakes did a good job in terms of holding things up. Now, I say that, but I also think that, yeah, it feels like it's a miracle before uh, uh if this team can hold on to the lead. But again, remember, this is not the old Quakes. This is the Bruce Arena Quakes team, and also this is a Sporting KC side that for Peter and me over the year. I think after this game, there's that crowd of wanting Peter Vermees to be removed as the head coach is going to get even more louder after this game, because after Tom Me puts it wide from long range, and really as the time winds down, somehow the Quakes were still looking relatively comfortable to hold on to the lead despite down to 10 men. Part of that is because Sporting KC looked like they completely out ideas going for it. They had no idea how to break down a bunker that the Quakes were putting in. And yeah, in the end, somehow in some way, the Quakes for the first time since 2015 beat Sporting KC on the road 2-1. It's also the first time that the Quakes have won their road season opener in over 13 years, as well, as they win 2-1 in this one. Like I said, shots in this one, 15 shots for the 7 that the Quakes had, 6 shots on goal for the 3 that Sporting KC had, no shots off target for the 6 that Sporting KC had, 5 shots on blocked for the 1 that the Quakes had, and possession-wise, 65% possession compared to 35% possession the Quakes has in this game. And with this win as well, they still remains at the top of the Western Conference. Now they're actually, I think, tied with the Philadelphia Union in the Supporter Shield standing, and I think the Union has the tiebreaker because they scored more goal than the Quakes had. And I don't know why I'm mentioning the Supporter Shield standing just 2 game into to the season, but I guess it's just kind of give a little recognition the fact that, yeah, this feels like a new day for the Quakes. And again, Bruce Arena, I don't know how he does this. Like, I don't know how with every single job that he goes to, no matter if he's coaching a good team or a bad MLS team, he can turn the culture around in just a single flash, and can turn a team uh problem that they used to have, and solve it immediately. Because yeah, these 2 games just kind of prove to me that something tells me Bruce is cooking something good for this Quakes team. And again, I want to keep it realistic, and I know the media is gonna once again overhype this team by saying that looks like they're truly back. But again, so far in these first 2 games, there's a lot of promise that it is shown to this team, and maybe for once, there could be the case not only this team might make it to the playoffs, maybe they finally can host a playoff game at PayPal Park for the first time. I can't say the same about Sporting KC. I mean, this has been just a disastrous start for Sporting KC. And while RSL got that much needed win to stop the bleeding of this bad run to start the season, you can't say the same about Sporting KC. I mean, the struggle continues for this team, and it's getting to a point where I even mentioned in the hot seat index, when is the time when Sporting KC might really think about firing Peter Remise, because I feel like we're getting closer than ever before this season, where Peter Remise might finally be getting the axe, because what we've seen from the Sporting KC side, it just feels like not only things have gone super stale for this team, they need a fresh voice in terms of to this team. I mean, it is pretty clear that whatever Peter Vermees tactics that is used on this team just does not work whatsoever, and this might finally be the year that we might see the longest tenure head coach being axed. I mean, if we saw that last year with Jim Curran being the second longest active tenure head coach to be axed. Who knows if Peter Mies might fall in the same category heading into this season as well. But there you have it. That is pretty much it for the review of the first part of match week number 2. Tomorrow, of course, we're looking at the last 7 game, and that includes the game I went to yet yesterday. And I actually didn't do a quick recap because my phone actually was about to run out of battery when I was heading back to the hotel. But nevertheless, I will just say that as a spoiler, yeah, it was a bit of a letdown, and unfortunately, a certain chant ringed out in that game that will be a big talking point in the middle of this week as well. But there you have it. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure you guys like, smash the subscribe button, and yeah, I of course will see you guys next time.